I now call the Crosby Township Board of Trustees regular meeting to order for June 9th, 2025. Please stand for the pledge. Roll call.
Mr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Here.
Mr. Hyatt?
Here.
Approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held May 12th, 2025.
I'll move that we approve the payment. Or you're talking about the minutes.
Yeah.
We have a couple corrections that were noted on page 2 under the maintenance department. The last item on the maintenance department, Loman Garden Center, is to handle. We replace handle with donate, so it's supposed to read Loman Garden Center is to donate the shrubs, perennials, and the plants for urns in front of the community center. And then under fiscal officer, page 3, the last item under that, Mr. Trent's mentioned that the township is seeking a candidate to replace the fiscal office as deputy by June, it should be June the 12th. Is that correct, Alan? Not the 2nd?
30 days from the point of.
The last meeting.
So we need to change that. June the 2nd was when resumes were supposed to be in. So we need to change that to June the 12th.
Okay.
And that's all the corrections I have.
I second it as corrected.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
And then approval of the minutes of the special meeting held June 5th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
I second it.
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
And then approval to pay the bills as have been presented over the past month.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mr. Lohman?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
So before correspondence, we're going to open the bids for the Fort Scott Road project. We have 3. The first one is from Rack and Baller Excavating on Patty's Run. The total bid is $118,439. The second one is from Loveland Excavating and Paving for the total of $143,930. We need a drum roll or something. And the third one is from West Side Paving for $126,900. So do we want a motion to accept?
Yeah, I was going
Go
to
ahead.
move, but then we have a resolution that Alan
Do
typed
we have
up.
a contract to sign? The resolution is to empower, Doug Lohman to sign
Okay.
construction contract.
We'll here let Alan look at it to make sure. I think it is.
I move we accept the bid for the Fort Scott Road project from Rack and Belair for $439.
I second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Loman,
Yes.
Mr. Hyab.
Yes. And then the resolution number, I think, would be number 13.
Yes.
So resolution number 13-2025. This is a resolution adopting a construction contract with Rack and Belair, whereas the Crosby Township Board of Trustees has accepted the bid of Rack and Belair for the road improvements Knox Lane, Lodge Lane, and Chapel Lane. And whereas the Board of Trustees of Crosby Township, which is the board, has determined that it is in the best interest of the township to enter into a construction contract with Rack and Belair. Now therefore be it resolved by the board that the following resolution be, and it hereby is adopted. Section 1, the board hereby agrees to enter into the construction contract with Rack and Belair, a copy of which is attached hereto as Exhibit A. Section 2, Doug Lohman, President of the Board, is hereby authorized to sign the construction contract on behalf of the township. Section 3, it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of the board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board that resulted in this formal action were in a meeting open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code, adopted this 6/9, it'd be the 9th day of June 2025. And I move we accept resolution number 13-2025.
I second it.
Have him sign it.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Loman,
Yes.
Mr. Hyab.
Yes.
That's all for that. So then we'll go on with correspondence. So the America 250 is having a meeting June 21st at Miami Town Hall at 12 noon. I was going to try to attend that. Fernald Preserve has weekly programs for June. We got a letter from Energy Alliance, which is where the township gets its electric through if people don't opt out. And the average savings per customer between July of 23 and March of 25 has been $379.72. And then we also, there was an accident on New Haven Road near Jacob Drive. And I believe the manager of the trailer park had contacted us about either a caution or a yellow light or something to be put in there, and we referred him to Hamilton County since that's a county road, and then, which he's done. And he just came back with a couple interesting statistics on that section of New Haven Road. On a daily average between Oxford and New Haven Road, there's 5,382 cars go by. And the little section between Edgewood and Boffman on New Haven is 9,573 every day. And that's all I have. Dennis?
All right. I got an email from Brad Roseberry. He's was interested in having me sign a petition to prohibit larger trucks with heavier loads in the U.S. Evidently, there's a national movement going on to increase the truck size and weights, which I never read anything yet, but I got that. The 2030 census, local update of census addresses operation is, training is starting early in 2027, so we have to sign up for that. I got that email. Brenda, I don't know if you got something from Teresa Jackson. She was interested in doing yoga and meditation for seniors. And I'll give you her email address. Did you cover the Board of Election? I was filling out the paperwork there. I didn't hear Board of Elections Connect.
No, I did not.
Okay, I got email from the Board of Elections, and they're have a website. They call it Board of Elections Connect. And so it's just more or less for people to get on it and get more familiar with the election process. And then I got Keith Faber's office, Ohio Auditor of State. There's a certified public records training down in Georgetown, 6/24, and it's from 10 to 1:15 p.m. If I'm bored to death, that's a long ways to go. So maybe try to wait until maybe something gets a little closer. And Tracy Moore from the auditor's office, I think we all got recovery letters that were sent to Bob Bibbo and Matt Wallace. So that's pretty much all I have.
Thanks, Dennis. Chuck?
Yeah, the Hamilton County Public Health meetings, you didn't announce that, did you?
No, I didn't get an email for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, on, that was the day at 4 o'clock, but at 3:45, they had a plumbing rules and regulation first. But yeah, the monthly report, monthly meeting for the public health is always the same day we have our meeting. I also got an email from Chris Dunlap, transportation engineer, about the intersection at 128 and New Haven Road out with the South Station. So they already did some work down there. So I'm not sure if they're done yet or not, but I think they're gonna put new traffic lights down. They already did some blocktopping. So they sent like 39 pages. So, but that was like 5 different locations. So, and then I got the township news break, final notice of SLFRF/ARPA filing. It's some kind of filing that we township need to file to keep from losing our funds. I guess the deadline is June the 25th. So I really don't really know anything about that. I don't know if you know anything about that.
I do.
So you gonna take care of that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Chuck. I'm Sheriff Lieutenant DePaoli.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Lieutenant Jeremy DePaoli, Hamilton County Sheriff's Department with the May report for May of 2025. I want to say real quick, I'm accompanied here tonight by Captain Steve Minnick, the patrol section commander for the Sheriff's Patrol. So anyway, we'll start with criminal reports, noteworthy incidents for the month of May. Again, thankfully, nothing of major concern to the public at large. Telecommunications fraud, also I guess you could kind of call this one an extortion, happened on Dick Road on the 4th of May. I want to stress with this one, just beware of these charlatans out here. You're conducting business online. It is a den of thieves out there. This victim made a transaction on Facebook Marketplace for $255 back in April. Afterwards, the suspect reached out claiming the money was never received, and then started to extort the victim by demanding more money or that he would harm his family. The investigation determined that numerous PayPal scams have been associated with that account number and the suspect's handle. So just beware when you're out there on the internet. Another telecommunications fraud on the 15th of May. I want to stress this one. If you get a call from anybody claiming that they are with the sheriff's office, they're going to give you a legitimate name. They may claim to be Lieutenant DePoli. They may claim to be Captain Smith, Sergeant Jones. You know, we got guys by these names that are working there. If they are telling you you got a warrant and they're asking for Apple gift cards, anything of that nature, it is a scam, all right? Do not give these people any money. This one, the victim was told she had warrants for arrest, and to avoid the arrest, she would need to pay them several $1,000s in Bitcoin and cash. The sheriff's office does not operate that way, all right? She was out $10,000 before she realized she was targeted on that one. What they're preying on are your emotions and your fear. We do not operate like that. So other than that, a couple minor issues out here. Criminal damaging up in Branch Hill Drive. That was a lover's quarrel. Boyfriend smashed up his girlfriend's television while he was watching their kids. Worn out on that guy. And a domestic violence up on River Road. That one was a father versus son. So, Junior went to jail. Adult, I say junior, he was 34 years old. Attacking his daddy. He went to jail that night. Last event I got of criminal nature, possession of drug paraphernalia, that was over in Harbor Ridge, over in Miami Whitewater. We went over there to help out the Rangers. 2 suspects. What do we have here? Several warrants. Female had several warrants out of multiple counties. They're in search of her property, glass pipes for drug activity. Just be careful in your parks too. I know we like to think our parks are safe places, but they're also popular places for drug activity. You take your kids up there, be on the lookout. You know, either maybe needles or other things in there. Not so much up here, but more in the city, but be careful out there. So moving on, non-criminal reports, which are reports of a medical, fire, or other nature. We had 3 of those during the month of May. Criminal investigations, 2 cases were assigned for the month of May in Crosby Township. One of those was closed. That was one of the fraud reports. Traffic incidents, 7 auto crashes for May, 0 arrests. Dispatch report, 100 calls for service during the month of May, and 60 non-billable details, which would be any time our guys put themselves out on a traffic stop, out of service for an investigation or anything of that nature. Last item on there, DVERT, the Domestic Violence Enhanced Response Team, which is run with Women Helping Women and provides immediate resources and social services for victims of domestic violence or abuse. We had no incidents for which the social workers responded during May. So that is all I have tonight. Any questions, thoughts, or concerns from anybody?
How often you get called to parks like Miami Whitewater Park for assistance? Is it very often at all, or?
Pretty rare.
And do you ever have to at Fernald also, or?
I can't remember the last time we've been called up to Fernald on my shift. They've got their own private guys
Yeah, they
running
did.
around up there when I go up there.
So it's basically when the Rangers can't handle something, they call you, or?
Well, in this case, you know, you had multiple. You got one ranger, you got multiple suspects. So officer safety is going to dictate that they got 2, we bring 3. It's the way we like to do it. So
Can rangers leave the park and help you if there was something going on outside of the park?
You are correct, mutual aid. We're all, when somebody needs it, we're all coming. Doesn't matter where we gotta come from, we're coming. So, pretty rare that we're needed in the park, but again, that would be, there'd be other circumstances. That park ranger might be down at Ferd Bank. You might have something kicking up there, assault in progress. Pretty rare, but your park's pretty safe up here. Just telling people, be aware of your surroundings. It can happen anywhere. So.
Anybody else? You want to go to a go over there? She's got a mic, because this is like recorded, so people can't hear you if they're watching it.
Okay,
His name.
Yeah, say your
okay,
name.
right there. Oh, I'm Fred
Sorry.
Hellman. Okay, I had just got a scam today, notifying me that I had an unpaid parking ticket. I mean a toll, one of those toll roads, and or these little gates that you go through. And I was really kind of concerned, so I went right down to the VMV, and I asked them about it. And the girl said, she says, "We've been having numerous calls about this." So I didn't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah.
But man, it's the scams. It's really going on all over, and it'll never stop. I'm convinced of that.
Is that coming through on the text by chance?
No, that was an email.
Email. Okay. Yeah, they'll reach out, email, text, any way they can get hold of you, phone call. When I was a kid, I was told if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Think of that.
That's
in the
exactly
greater
what,
context
yeah.
here. I get several texts a month saying that with these toll roads and whatnot, and I'm thinking I haven't been on a toll road in 10 years, so delete, and they'll come find me if they need me. That's the way I look at it.
One of your calls was, it says the signal is an escort. What is an escort detail?
Where are we looking at on there?
Oh, on your report, I think it's
Got a
the
date on
page
that?
one, let's see here, 3/4/2025.
You know what? I'm looking here. I got the wrong. Yep, I got the wrong month attached, don't I? Or, hold on, something's not adding up there. It says 3/1. What date do you
3/4.
look? 3/4.
Yeah,
Well, it
it's,
claims to be May. Claims to be May up in the upper right-hand corner. But we'll go with these are on for May.
Is that for like an
3/4.
oversized truck
So
or
an
something?
escort detail could be 3/4.
It was an excavating company, so it may have been an oversized truck or something, maybe?
3/4 escort detail. Patty's Run. You were at the excavating company. That could have been. That was more likely. That was on night shift. I'm looking at what time that came in. Yeah, after 5 o'clock at night. Most likely, when we get an escort detail, that could be anything. Maybe somebody wants to go retrieve property, for example. There would have been a boyfriend, girlfriend squabble, or lovers falling out, whatever it might be, something where they've got issues with kids. So that would be a common escort detail where they would ask us to come over and stop by to make sure there's no trouble.
Okay.
Pretty common.
all right.
On the toll thing, I just went through a toll a couple months ago, and they send you a bill. They send you a bill in the mail. I've got the text things, and I don't even know, they'll say you did it in Ohio. I don't even think there's a toll road in Ohio, as far as I know. But
Northern Ohio.
I went through one in Virginia Beach, and they send the bill in the mail. They don't text you, they don't call you, so you'll get an actual bill in the mail. So
Yeah, that has been my experience too up in Illinois and Florida.
if
Same
you
kinda
don't
deal.
have one of them cards or whatever.
If you have the speed pass or
Yeah,
something
they
like
get it off
that.
your license plate number, and they'll have your license plate number and all that.
Yeah,
So they actually send you a bill in the mail.
yeah.
That's what I actually got one from California, actually was going across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be told, well, I didn't know what, I didn't say, you're right. actually had a picture of my license plate.
Oh, yeah.
Rich, so, you know, I didn't mind paying that.
You thought you got away with it, didn't you?
Yeah, I'll give one last thought on any of these scams. You know, when these folks start resorting to threats and bullying, you know, when they start going down that road, good chance you're being scammed. You know, professional organizations are going to go through these things, or are going to come and get you through the proper legal channels. They're not going to be threatening you and extorting you. That's how that one works. So.
I'd like to make a comment. I live on Oxford Road. I guess Boston is closed, part of it, and Edward is closed. Oxford Road, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, with tons of dump truck and concrete trucks, and they're coming up that way because they can't get over to Edward. So I could.
The city of Harrison will not allow them to go through my subdivision anymore.
Okay.
So I'm going up Oxford and over Dick or Howard to go down Edgewood to get into the new subdivision.
Yeah.
They're taking the instruction on my subdivision.
So you did it then. But anyway, I mean, we got
So
one comment.
Since you're not on a microphone, Brian just said that the city of Harrison won't allow them to the subdivisions. That's why they're going around
Yeah.
Oxford.
And I get one because Boston closed. Maybe more traffic on New Haven Road now too, and maybe that might have caused an accident. Who knows? But I noticed a lot more traffic on New Haven too, because Boston is closed and Edward is closed. So, but Oxford Road, you can see one dump truck this way, one coming this way every 2-3 minutes. I mean, a ton of them. So, and now the concrete trucks.
I think they call that progress.
I was surprised that
What they call that
nothing
progress.
happened. So,
All right.
Any other thoughts, questions?
Yeah, there is one other one I want.
Go to the microphone. Just try to make it quick, please.
Okay, yeah, you know, this is really important. It was about 2 or 3 months ago. Every day I'm always looking at my checking account. And this one day I looked at it, and there I saw $10,000 withdrawn out of my checking account. Well, man, I almost flew out, you know. So right away I drove right down to Fifth Third. I showed them that and told them that, and they were able to track that down and get that $10,000 back in my account. So I urge you, this is real. Like I just mentioned before about the little tool thing, but that was a big deal, and you know, I just want to make everybody aware of that fact that this is real. This is just a little casual thing that happens.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else want to get up and talk? Public at large?
Good evening, everybody. For the record, Matthew Wallace, formerly of Tooley Lane, and now reside in Morgan Township. And I haven't been able to speak to you all, and recently, and I was really sad at the last meeting. I'll let you guys know that I was ill. And I was really sick at the May 12th meeting. I can't remember when the last time I was this sick. I was really in a bad way, and for about 5 days, and horrible fevers, multiple days, the whole thing. That's really not important. But if I could have been here, if there was any way I could have responsibly been here, I would have been here. May 12th also happened to be the day that my residency changed from Crosby Township to Morgan Township, and therefore also the day coinciding with the meeting that I submitted my resignation by letter because I couldn't get here. I would have rather waited until I could be here in person, but the law's the law, and I respect the law, and the day that your residency changes is the day that you're no longer qualified to be the fiscal officer or a trustee of the township, and also the day that if I hadn't resigned, you as trustees would have been duty-bound to remove me from the office and begin the process of finding a replacement. I want to let you all know that I have thoroughly enjoyed serving here. I cherish the relationships that I've made here with all of you. This township has been, and the people that work here have been a major part of my life for the last 5 years, and certainly the job and the issues that come with it have been a major part of my life for the last 5 years. So I thank all of you for the various ways, each of you in the different departments, Jim, Chief, Brenda, all of you trustees, Alan, the way that you individually have each in different ways helped me do my job during a difficult time with a very, very difficult task. It is certainly my pleasure, and I certainly wish all of you the best going forward. When I first brought up the possibility or likelihood that I could be moving to the trustees, it was my intention, if it pleased the trustees, to remain as a deputy fiscal officer, having researched the different statutes and different ways that that office could be filled, if that was the trustee's preference. And, I was and remain devoted to the township, and, I remain available should the township need my help or services, whether that be as an assistant, or as a consultant, or as a or as a quick phone call, because I really love this community. I love its people, and I love all of you. And of course, Jamie knows, and I hope all of you know, trustees. I'll always take your phone calls if there's anything I can do to help and facilitate. It's kind of a cruel break the way that it's set up, where you just kind of have to be all the way here and then all the way gone. But that doesn't mean I can't take a phone call from you individually, answer any questions that you might have, and I'm happy to do so. That's part of being a public servant. There's, as I talked to Mr. Trends, he had talked to some folks as well, did some research. I did research, and Mr. Trends had reached a kind of a legal opinion that I would not be able to serve as a deputy fiscal officer due to my residency. Now, when I was looking through the statutes, in my opinion, it was that was sort of one of the differences between a fiscal officer that was duly elected or even an appointed one and a deputy fiscal officer, is that the deputy stands in the gap, and that the residency requirement wasn't there. However, Mr. Trends showed me an opinion from the Attorney General's office, and it was a really, really old opinion, but he showed it to me. I tried to find something. It's really hard to research those Attorney General opinions. And it was from a time period of days gone by where there was actually a position called a township clerk that was elected rather than a township fiscal officer. But it clearly says that, at least in the days of the township clerk, that someone cannot go from being an elected fiscal officer to being, disqualified due to residency and being reappointed in the interim as a deputy fiscal officer. So because of that, that's why when it comes to the pursuit of hiring a deputy fiscal officer, that I have not submitted an application. I've not applied for that, because my encouragement to the trustees would be to, obviously listen to your legal counsel and take his counsel and respect it. That's why I have not applied, and I've kind of stayed away as far as that goes. If that legal opinion changes, and if that counsel to the trustees changes in the next few days, when that happens, and you want to consider that, I remain available. But nonetheless, that's why I haven't applied. With one of the many reasons why I was interested in staying on, I like fixing problems. I like working hard. I don't shy away from challenges, and I really enjoy serving the community. One of the specific reasons why I was interested in remaining is because I don't like leaving behind unfinished business. Unfortunately, the timing of my move really didn't really care about my preferences. The timing is the timing, it happens as it happens. But the unfinished business is related to the letters Mr. Hyab referenced in the correspondence section related to the findings for recovery that were attached to the 2020-2021 audit. Now, I've discussed this. I've discussed this with you individually. You've seen, you've seen the audits or the findings for recovery, and really, what I want to say publicly about that is, I've said it individually, I've said it in different meetings, but I'll say it publicly. For anyone in my shoes that walked into the Office of Fiscal Officer on April 1st of 2020, I would argue that the logical, that the reasonable, maybe I could even argue the intelligent thing to do would have been to turn around, walk out, and submit my resignation immediately. That is the kind of state that that office was in on April 1st, 2020. The trustees at the time had, at the planning meeting earlier that year, had authorized the hiring of the previous fiscal officer to stay on as an assistant in order to train me on the job. And none of that training was made available prior to the beginning of my term. So the first day that my term started was an absolute shock.
His chest, I guess.
There was, and the trustees that were there at the time, they and I know a couple of you are in here, you know, this was a financial office that was in absolute disarray, both physically and functionally. It was an absolute worst nightmare for anyone that is related in anything to do with ethics, accounting, finance, planning, anything of the sort. And so I talked with my wife about it. You know, we're not people that run from problems. I really didn't fully understand the ramifications of it at the time, but we made a conscious decision to stick it out, that I'd been put in that office, elected by the people, and that I was going to serve the community the best that I could and do the best I could with what I was given. And that's what I did. As I understood more the ramifications of having your name on the door of the township fiscal officer position, I understood that there is certainly the potential for personal accountability that can come with not being able to do the job not just correctly, but on time. And what happened as we were instituting reforms, as we were cleaning up the mess that I walked into, every single thing through the audit process, every single thing that was done, ultimately that the township paid, that the township was obligated to pay on time, or I'm sorry, that the township was obligated to pay but was paid not on time. Every late fee, every penalty, every bit of interest that came from all of those things, including anything that would have been day after I took office, has now been pursued by the state auditor from me personally. I have pled my case to the state auditor multiple times, multiple people in the state auditor's office. Quite frankly, they don't care. The state auditor's position is that the people of Crosby Township should not have had to pay those fees and those penalties. it gets referred to the statutory counsel for the township, which is the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office. I work for the prosecutor's office. That's no secret. And I talked to the civil division, and I've talked to one elected prosecutor. She's now no longer in office. I've talked to top assistants of 3 different elected prosecutors about this. I've debriefed them on the whole thing. They know the whole story. They've seen the documents. They were carbon copied on every single letter that came from the auditor's office to you and to me. Because of the fact that they're statutory counsel, they are fully apprised. I still remain employed at the prosecutor's office. There's never been any determination by the Hamilton County prosecutor that I did anything ethically wrong, or trust me, I would not remain employed there. They're not pursuing me. I think the official reason is because of the fact that it's, like a conflict of interest because I work there. But again, trust me, if it was a problem with them, I would no longer be employed there if they thought that I was part of any kind of wrongdoing. So the matter goes to the Attorney General. And I've had multiple conversations individually with you, and with Mr. Trends, and there's always been really kind of a nebulous procedural process about how this goes.
Can you be done by 7:45?
Maybe.
Wow.
Because this is really important.
I know.
And to be honest with you, this has been going on for a long time, and this is affecting me personally. Right now, I am getting threats from the Attorney General for garnishment of wages, civil lawsuits, straight collections, and I haven't even been given the right to a single hearing. This is absolutely affecting my family at this point. So I don't know what exactly the procedure is going to be going forward, but what I do know is I've been receiving the same letters that you have, and I know that it went from one letter that comes in April that says, we're going to stand by and we're going to wait to see what the township trustees do about this matter. Now, I did mention in the April meeting that I intended on initiating claims on the performance bonds that were there, because at that point I thought it was the right thing to do, but I still kind of felt conflicted about it. Then, as I was about to do that, because we had a bunch of other issues to take care of with me leaving, then I got sick, and then I never got around to it. So I'll tell the trustees, if the performance bond is something that claim is something you want to do, there's emails in my email account that Jamie has access to. They were asking about it from the get-go, and you can pursue those claims. My preference would be for you to consider this resolution that I'm going to propose to you tonight. And I've given this a lot of thought and a lot of time. And I wish I could have had it to you earlier, but I did take kind of a maximum amount of time considering very specifically the words in this resolution that I'm going to request that the trustees adopt tonight. A resolution can be a lot of forms, and it can have a lot of different purposes. I mean, we would see all the time that someone would come in and say, we would like you to adopt a resolution saying that we do not support state bill, whatever, whatever, whatever. So essentially, a resolution can be simply an official opinion of this board. Ultimately, the township trustees stand in place of the citizens that the state auditor says have been wronged on my account. And so, for me, what I would like to do is to be able to take a copy of this resolution, if it's approved by the trustees, and be able to show it to the Attorney General and say, please stop pursuing this personally on my account. Now, I'm not speaking for my predecessor. His business is his business. What I know is that when I stepped into office, I had to deal with the aftermath. So I have a copy for each of you if I may approach. Can I approach?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So I think I was missing the back half. I'll give you one.
Oh, I'm sorry, no worries.
So if I may, the proposed resolution is a resolution requesting the Attorney General for the State of Ohio cease collection on findings for recovery against Matthew Wallace. It would be a motion to adopt the following resolution at a regular meeting of the trustees, Crosby Township, on June 9, 2025. Whereas Matthew Wallace dutifully served as the elected fiscal officer for Crosby Township from April 1st, 2020 until his change of residency and resignation on May 12th, 2025. And whereas Matthew Wallace began his first term with a financial office in utter disarray and in an inauditable state as determined by the Auditor of State, including no regular financial reports, discrepancies in the township's ledger approaching $100,000, a physical office with zero organization and total disorder, a whole year's worth of missing meeting minutes, and tens of thousands of payroll taxes unpaid, amongst many other issues. And whereas Matthew Wallace successfully identified and corrected all discrepancies in Crosby Township's ledger, and whereas Matthew Wallace has led the fiscal office through 5 different audits, including those by the Internal Revenue Service and Ohio Department of Taxation, resulting from the failure of the preceding fiscal officer to remit payroll taxes, and whereas Matthew Wallace has ensured that all proper financial obligations of the township have been paid, and whereas Matthew Wallace has instituted countless reforms in the financial office, restoring integrity, transparency, and accountability of the office, and whereas Matthew Wallace has faithfully provided regular, comprehensive financial reports to the Board of Trustees, as well as revolutionized the budgeting process for the township, and whereas Matthew Wallace has successfully investigated and protected Crosby Township against fraud attacks on several occasions, and whereas the financial disaster that Matthew Wallace was thrust into could have been mitigated by the previous Board of Trustees, which included a formal fiscal officer for the township, yet took no action to address the elected fiscal officer and the financial accounting situation that was spiraling out of control from 2016 to 2020. And whereas it is the measure of the Board of Trustees that Matthew Wallace turned the finances of Crosby Township around in an acceptable time frame, given the accounting disaster he inherited, and whereas Crosby Township has been well served by the innumerable financial reforms and policy recommendations put in place by Matthew Wallace, the Board of Trustees of Crosby Township hereby urges the Attorney General for the State of Ohio to not pursue collection of the findings for recovery against former fiscal officer Matthew Wallace attached to the audit of 2020 to 2021 by the Auditor of State. It is undisputed that all amounts in the findings for recovery attributed to Matthew Wallace are the result of late fees and interest that were unavoidable given the situation he unknowingly inherited at the beginning of his term. It is clear that no expenditure was made that the township was not obligated to. The Board of Trustees understands that Mr. Wallace reasonably could have resigned the moment his term began, which would have been catastrophic for the citizens of Crosby Township. However, Mr. Wallace remained at his elected post at his own peril and ultimately for the benefit of the citizens of Crosby Township. Therefore, be it resolved that it would be unjust for Matthew Wallace to be personally held accountable for the findings for recovery, and we request the Attorney General not pursue Mr. Wallace personally. I know that it took a lot of time, and I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to me. And I stand here able to answer any questions that you may have about this document, about my proposal, or anything related to my service here. I remain a public servant, and I remain the servant of Crosby Township, even if I don't live here. And I really appreciate your consideration on this, as does my family.
Let me say a few things. Number one, I do not recommend that the trustees consider this resolution. I spoke personally to Shelley Goodrich, Senior Assistant Attorney General, Collections Enforcement Section. I posed that question to her as to whether if the trustees were to adopt a resolution such as this, if it would have any effect. She said no. It's solely their decision to pursue it or make a claim against the bond. Now, I understand also, in speaking to Mr. Bibbo's attorney, that they have decided, the Attorney General's office has decided to make a claim against the bond as to Mr. Bibbo. Now, I don't know what the status is with the claims against you, Matt, but he tells me they've already made that decision. So maybe they're going to do that in your case. I just don't know.
The problem I've been having is, as you saw in the letter, I think I forwarded it to all of you guys, the letter from April. The Attorney General's office specifically said that it was waiting basically to see what the trustees were going to do as far as the collecting of this. That was from, I think, early April. And so I was surprised when the
you have a
letter, I
copy
think
of
from
that
May.
you have
Yeah,
a
it's the
copy
one
of
I
it?
sent to you long ago,
I
I
know,
think.
but
But I don't have a copy on me. So, ultimately, it's the Attorney General's job to either pursue, to take action against me personally. So, Mr. Trends, I agree with you on that. But I'm an attorney too, by trade. And when someone out there is going to make a decision as to whether something is pursued, I want that entity or that person to be as fully informed as possible about who thinks who is responsible for what. You trustees have been here for this. You've been here, you've seen it. No one in the Ohio Auditor's office saw what I went through, but you did. And just because I would respectfully disagree with the idea that you shouldn't consider this resolution because of the fact that the Attorney General is going to make decisions, that's precisely why I would urge you to consider it, because you represent the citizens of Crosby Township. You are elected as their body. You're all they have. There's no executive. You're the legislative. You're the executive. You're everything for the citizens at a local level. And what they're saying is that the township was wronged and that I personally should be responsible for the payment of it. And the only entity that has the ability to opine and tell this authority in Columbus, hey, maybe the other guy or maybe not, I don't know, that's his business, but this guy, he's the one that was fixing it. And it takes a little bit of time. Now, I watched Mr. Hyab, and I very much appreciated Mr. Hyab when the news came after the April meeting, and the news came to do a little story, and they asked for interviews, and I gave a statement, I gave an interview, and I sat here in this very room, and I watched Mr. Hyab tell that interviewer, as for the current fiscal officer, I think he should get a little bit of grace. And I appreciated that very much. What I'm asking for this body to do is to consider this resolution and put it in writing. Because, no one seems to be interested in listening to what I have to say. Mr. Trends is talking about the Attorney General is making decisions. They've never called me. I've gotten 2 letters. I contacted the same person that Mr. Trends has talked to. I haven't had the privilege of talking to her. I called the number on the sheet. I called their office. I was basically given the runaround and said, here, if you want to talk to her, we're not even going to give you her number. You have to send an email to this particular email, say who you are, reference the letter, reference the claim numbers, and then we'll get back to you. It's been a week. I've never heard from them since the last time I reached out. So I'm sitting here. I've never had an opportunity for a hearing. I've never had an opportunity to make my case to anybody with any kind of decision-making authority. And so that's why I urge you to consider it. But I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Otherwise, that's all I have to say.
Well, appreciate you coming back, because like you said, when you got sick, we just kind of took the scissors to your exit here, and we never got to say goodbye, so appreciate
And I will say, I just so you know, I did fill out the appropriate, there's a exit certification. I filled that out, but in doing that, I have to certify that I have cut all the strings, and I set my keys in Mr. Lohman's mailbox as soon as I could, since he's the chairman of the board, and but but I have remained in contact with Jamie and anything that she's needed, and I remain your servant. Thank you.
Well, since it's the opinion of the legal staff here that we don't pass this resolution, I would say that we do not. If we want to do something on our own as a trustee and send something in, then that's up to each individual trustee, but I think we should take and move on, Chairman.
Great. Do you have anything to say, Chuck, or not? If not, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to get up?
My name's Brian Carter. I live at 9649 Forest Hill Drive. As people, you're great people, but I have some questions I need to ask, and I'll give you a copy of this so you have all the questions I'm going to ask. But I had the pleasure of working under several city managers in my almost 33-year career with the city of Cincinnati. One of the most informative trainings I received was having those difficult decisions or discussions. The following is one of the most difficult I've had to occur in my life. I've had difficult discussions with my professional life and my personal life. And the thing is I believe that myself and every Crosby Township resident should get an answer to these questions. It's unpleasant, and maybe, I know people will be mad, but that's okay. I guess my first question is, why haven't the citizens of Crosby Township received their 24 and 25 Crosby Township annual newsletter? It's been approved in the budget, and we haven't received it. Another question is, we're in June, will we have any outdoor concerts this year? Harrison has their first concert tomorrow. Delhi Township has published all theirs. Lawrenceburg has published all their concert schedules. I talked personally to a member of a band who's very popular, and you guys won't like it, but they would never play here because we will not allow beer sales. My wife has a personal friend who is involved with another band. They book a year in advance. Number one, they're a year out already. And number two, they wouldn't be here either because you're not going to get any big-time bands here unless you have beer sales. And that's your decision to do whatever you want to do. The other thing is the township should consider some kind of continuous improvement. You know, whenever we have a major event, we should come back and say, what did we do well? What didn't we do well? And what can we do better so the next time we have that event, we're better prepared? We have a data show and a screen we've never used, I don't think. I guess my question is every township employee received that new personnel and policy and procedure manual? Because if they don't know what they're going to be held accountable for. They should all either you put it on a website so everybody can see it, or everybody gets a copy of the manual. That's the only way that people can be held accountable for what's going on here.
That's what our intention was to do, is maybe we never, since we got done, we had so much stuff going on here, I dropped the ball on that, but every employee is supposed to sign that book every year.
I'll tell you right now, if anybody does that, shame on them because they haven't seen the manual. You know, I would not I'm going to tell my wife not to sign it because she hasn't seen the manual. She hasn't got a copy of the manual.
Well, everybody's going to get a copy.
But then they shouldn't sign it until they get their copy. They shouldn't sign
I wouldn't
something
want
they
them
haven't
to sign
read.
it until
Look,
they had it.
Dennis, you want time? I don't want to talk about it. You
Okay.
can respond back to me, okay?
All right.
That's what I'm here for. You guys rush Matt out of here. I'll go through this as quick as I can.
It's a privilege to get up and talk. We don't have to let anybody talk.
Please.
We don't have to let anybody get up and talk if we don't want to, so it's a privilege for you to get up and talk.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you've talked about it last week or last meeting. I think we should get our bids out for road projects. The city does real early in the year to get the best price and to get on the schedule. With community events, you know, there's been a list of community events in the planning organizational meeting every year, and there never seems to be anything new going on in the community. You know, we do the same similar events all the time. You know, part of me says, you know, we should partner with our neighbor townships and cities and see if we can grow our influence. You know, we have nice shelters, we have parks. We need to work with the other folks around here. You know, we don't have performance reviews. I know that's always a sore subject, but if it would ever come that we'd have to discipline somebody or terminate somebody, it'd be really hard since we don't do any kind of evaluations. And, you know, I guess wrapping it up is that I believe that any organization, the Board of Trustees are supposed to be the leadership team or the management team, but there seems to be no real accountability to what's going on within this organization. There's a different direction or different reflection of the board on how the board handles and directs the use of our tax dollars in Crosby Township. You know, I expect a formal response to these questions. And I think that's what we deserve. You know, why aren't we getting the services? We pay our taxes. You budget stuff, and it doesn't happen. It's just frustrating. And that's all I have to say on that. And I have a copy of this for everybody, and I also have a request for a public record request that I'll give to everybody too. Thank you.
Anybody else? Legal, Alan.
Nothing to report.
Maintenance, Jim.
Keeping up with the mowing and doing the mulching and around the trees and flower beds. And the fence is up at the town hall and 2 cemeteries in Fernald. I haven't talked with Dave, didn't have a chance to talk to him today about, we talked about not putting the gates up because we figure that's gonna be a thing that's gonna get messed up, and there's no gates on any other cemeteries.
So they finished?
Although he's putting up, he's gonna knock off what it would cost to put them up. And unless you guys want them up. I talked to Dennis about it, and Dennis thought, I mean, there's none on the Shaker Cemetery, there's none even on the big cemetery over here that ain't ours. But instead, they're just gonna get open up and closed to go get to mow, you know, they're kinda, you gotta even look to see if the gap's even there, if you can buy them or not. You don't notice it right off that there's like a 6-foot gap.
So they're both done?
Do what?
They're both done now?
Done down there, yes. Got that done. The unit center here, the rooftop unit's not working. And the compressor grounded to shorted to ground on the compressor. And the guy that came out to service it gave me a price of like $7,600 to fix it. So I waited a week because the owner that I'm friends with, known for since he's a kid. Wait, he's on vacation, so it's gonna be like $4,200, I think, to fix it. But they're waiting on the part and compressor. And I asked him why it would have shorted the ground, and he said, you don't know. And I said, do you think could have been a lightning strike or whatever? So he said he might, when he gets it tore apart, he might be able to tell something. But we don't have any ground, this here, the surge protectors in this building. There's no surge protector. If there's a surge in the electric, we don't have no protection in this building. So you should have had one of these estimates from KIST. That's what that's about, is putting 2 surge protections on the panels back here, but that don't do anything for a lightning strike. And that was the price for that, and you can put surge protectors on each unit up there, and he told me them's about $750 to $1,000 a piece to do that, and it's not gonna do any different than what these would do here, you know, on a
How old is that unit that's not working?
39th month of 21. I learned that too, how to tell how old one was.
Oh,
The first 4 digits. So it's only like, it's gonna be 4 years old in October. That's when it was built. So he thinks it was put up in November. It shouldn't go bad, but it did, and they don't know why the compressor burned up on it. So he might know more. He said when he gets it tore apart and checks into it, he might be able to see what happened or something else caused it or what. But we gotta get it fixed because I mean.
so was that priced for a new unit, or was that to
Just to
fix?
compress, to fix it.
Just to
compressor.
fix it?
Yeah, new units like, I think the last one was like 15,000, I think. That was I think that was that one. And that one's a small one, smaller than I think these other two. This one back here. So I have him getting a part to fix that, but just gotta know about this surge protection. I mean, if you were wanting to do it or not wanting to do it or whatever.
So what would that cover then, if they put it, does that just cover the panels then?
Goes in the panel, covers everything, it's coming in from there and then in this building. That if it's an electric surge,
Right.
it's not counting lightning strike. But anything that you get.
So that would help the heaters then from a surge, just not if they get hit by lightning?
Yeah. It'll help everything we got in here. It's up to you. If you think it's not, it's no protection, and he says,
$1,890. Well, the surge protector, I mean, you got I'm assuming if we put a surge protector on the panels, that would cover surges going to the computers and all that stuff,
yeah,
correct?
The way I understand it, it covers everything that's coming through the building. Like for the refrigerator and whatever's in here and
Yeah.
everything.
Thing is we've been here for 30
Yeah.
years, and we never had a problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just brought it up,
Right.
so,
I'll have to sit on that.
okay.
As far as getting the compressor fixed, I would say, since the seniors use this room, as soon as you get a hard price on that,
Well, I've already they're getting a part.
are they?
Yeah,
And that's going to be,
I think it said around $4,200 to do it. I mean, we gotta get it fixed.
right. You want to, is that a hard number?
She's giving you a bad look if you go in her office today. She's the one to get,
Yeah, she's got the heat.
I'm the one that's roasting.
So if we make a motion to cover the cost at no more than $4,200, that's going to work?
I'm pretty sure that's what he said around there.
Well, then I make a motion that we,
Go to 45 just and get it.
Yeah, I would say up to 45.
It's gonna be, I don't know if there's tax on that or not. There shouldn't
there won't be any tax. It's just that whether something else they find.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we expend no more than $4,500 to repair the air conditioning unit. That has the compressor out on it.
I second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Loman.
Yes.
Mr. Hyap.
Yeah.
And the signs, the Welcome to Crosby Township signs, the metal signs, they're $35 a piece, and I was gonna get 20, that'd be $700 if I got the okay.
How many?
20,
We need that many?
Well, you gotta get extras because the kids paint them and everything else.
What?
What? I think it
Fine
takes
with me.
14 or 6, I think it takes 14 or 16.
To get the township signed?
Yeah,
Yeah, it needs to be. Some of 'em-
750
some of 'em
bucks?
look bad.
700 bucks.
700.
700?
$35 a piece.
All right,
Now, I don't know if there's tax on that either.
there won't be
There
any
should no
tax.
There shouldn't be.
I move, do $700 on 20 signs for Welcome Crosby Township.
Harrison Township paid more than that for one sign. You've seen their signs. And the next thing is.
Wait a minute.
Hang
Wait a
on.
minute.
Dennis made a motion.
I second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss?
Yes.
Mr. Logan?
Yes.
Mr. Hyab?
Yep.
Next thing is, I want to get permission to, when we get a chance, to take down the fence between here and the baseball field. Because it's falling down. We're either going to put a new one up, take that one down, leave it down.
Just that wooden split rail?
What, out by the road?
No.
No, between the ball
Keep that
field
one,
and
keep
the,
ours.
Oh, the one
This
that's
right
going
here.
this way.
Yeah, that runs through there. Between
don't need
the
it.
bridge and the ball field.
do we need a fence there?
That was a Eagle Scout project.
What was it?
Yeah, it's 15 years old, I think, but I remember the sign out there. But that was an Eagle Scout project.
Well, then if it's falling apart, I'd remove it, and then we'll make up our mind whether we want to replace it or not.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
we
it's-
feel that it's not a big deal,
You can walk.
we'll
up
leave it
and
go.
just About shove it over.
Okay. That'd be my opinion, just
Because
Clean it up.
Somebody's gonna be climbing on it and some kid, and it's gonna,
Break.
then we're gonna probably be in more trouble
Is there any Eagle Scout projects coming up?
all the time.
I don't think we have to vote on that.
That should be it.
Anything for Jim?
no.
All right, thanks. Fire, Chief Davis.
May run totals, we had 39 EMS details, 35 fire details, for a total of 74 during May. We received the Strickers Grove July 4th fireworks permit. It's been signed by the Sheriff's Office and myself, and they will receive it back this week. The 2 sets of lockers were placed on the Hamilton County, Ohio auction website for a second time. No bids were received. It was on there for a total of 4 weeks. The lockers, along with an old pop machine and a grill, were taken down to River Metals Recycling, and the funds were turned into the fiscal officer. The last thing I have is at the last meeting, we talked about the increased price for the new medic unit. The assistant fiscal officer has had time to look at the funds so they could be moved around to make up the difference. I'm asking for approval or a resolution to be passed for the difference needed, which is $167,570 added for the approval, from the approval back in November to cover the cost of the medic unit.
Do you know what account, Jamie, that money is going to come out of?
Nope, but I'll have that taken care of.
We have to know that tonight, though? Probably to
I believe
approve
it was
it.
general, isn't that what you guys determined? I think it was general.
Is it possible to come out of the 2111, 760, 740, machinery, equipment, and furniture?
Yeah, but do we have enough money in the funds? Otherwise, you have to transfer it from the general funds.
Looks like it's,
So,
I received this on 5/27 of this year. That's the only,
May I make a comment that might be helpful?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. I think the question would not be necessarily, is there the funds, or the fact that, or the idea that it might need transferred out of general fund. I think the most operative question is whether there's the appropriate appropriations in place, whether it's out of the general fund or not. General fund monies can be used directly for, general fund monies can be certified for the purchase either in whole or in part for the vehicle. They don't have to be transferred, but they do have to be appropriated. That's what really needs consideration, because if they're not in the proper amount, then you'll have to, at the next meeting, do a supplemental appropriation in order to enter into the contract and make the purchase. And just remember, you can't enter into the contract for the purchase of the vehicle until the funds are actually certified.
I do have a copy of the contract. From Brown.
So we would need an appropriation to, before we can approve it.
Can I say something here real quick? Save you a lot of,
Yeah.
it'd be a whole lot easier just to go ahead and do a supplemental appropriation out of the general fund and put it wherever you want it to certify this contract for the new medic unit, the $167,000, whatever. There was money in the budget for whatever the chief had originally put in there. Whatever you need more, you just should do another supplemental appropriation and pick a line item, whatever one. You can keep it in the general fund, you can move it to the fire fund, but that has to be done because otherwise you won't have enough money to certify the contract.
Right.
So that's the quickest and easiest and the simplest thing to do.
Is that something you would make a motion to do, I guess?
Need a resolution. Resolution number
14.
He needs something in writing.
Why don't we take and, you want to try to,
Does this have to be done is this like the deadline?
right,
You need it tonight, don't you?
I would like to sign it tonight and scan it
okay.
tomorrow morning.
Alan, can you come up with a resolution?
I'm writing it out right now.
Okay, why don't we,
Skip that, we'll
we'll
come
skip
back
it
to
and
it.
come back
It's
to
gonna
it.
be a supplemental appropriation from the general fund.
Give him the amount. Did you have anything else? Okay.
Since we're on the fire department,
Okay, Dennis.
I'll do a firehouse update. We have a new construction manager. His name is Scott Carruthers. We demolished the salt building and they prepared the site for construction. They got the footer poured and now they're working on the wall that's going around the new part. The siding was cut on the inside wall, inside of the bay, in order to, up 4 feet in order to waterproof. And they're going to do this in 2 phases. The first phase is going to be the new addition. When they get the new addition done, then the second phase, they're going to go on the inside and redo the carpeting, the painting, the ceiling tile, and all that. So it's going to be done in 2 phases. So the forms are being constructed right now for the outside wall. We had a meeting and we went over the types of, well, we haven't gotten the flooring samples yet, but we know what rooms we want to put carpet squares in, and the painting on the walls and the ceiling details, and other things that's going to be heading our way is we picked out the masonry that's going to face the poured concrete on the outside, and that's going to come at an additional cost of $7,586.04. And the waterproofing business has added $107,893.61 to the cost of the building. And just that has drove the cost of the building up to $922,271.37. So we're going to be approaching $1 million on this building. It was, when we did the appropriations, I think Matt had the foresight that we had extra money put in on the appropriations. So
Unless it's changed, the appropriation, original appropriation was $750,000. That's what the original appropriation was for, I believe, wasn't it, Matt? $750,000 for the firehouse expansion?
Yeah, but there may have been other appropriations as well with the, I don't recall, because all of the change orders and everything.
yeah, I think there was some added to that. Let me go back on the May.
I know something was added, how much, I don't remember, or when.
It may have changed from year to year because it initially was, I think, in the previous year, and then we had to reappropriate it again
Because of the
this
delay.
year. And at that point, it may have been more as well. I can't remember exactly how.
Well, reserved for encumbrance, and you guys know more. I get screwed up on all this stuff. But we had, for reserved for encumbrance was $692,395.48. The final appropriation going into this year was $149,616, so that was added to it. And then, huh? Yeah, we're gonna have to take and a lot more money.
So you need to do that before you process those change orders.
Well, we haven't paid for them yet, so,
You need to certify those change orders
right.
before the work is done, and you need to have the money appropriated, otherwise there's a problem.
Okay,
Take authority in the name of Jesus over the darkness in the sky. Just rebuke it, renounce it.
so that's where we're at on the firehouse. Right now, Alpha Construction has a draw for the month of May for $34,425. So I would like to make a motion that we approve that amount to be paid.
I'll second it. What was the exact amount?
34,425 even.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Loman,
Yes.
Mr. Hyab.
Yes,
You want to come up with that amount that we need to add?
I'll work on it.
Okay.
And then that's pretty much all with the firehouse at this point.
Good, let's go back to this appropriations. I'm trying to write out, I'm getting a couple of texts from Matt, thank you. Supplemental appropriation from general fund, looks like account 1000-760-750-000 in the amount of $167,570 to,
500, isn't it? Oh, no, you're right.
Is it 500 even?
No, you were right,
No,
you were
you're
right, 570.
To Fire District Fund, would it be salaries?
No.
No.
2111.
So, I'm sorry?
2111.
2111, yeah. I'm looking in 2111. Which one?
760-740 is machinery, equipment, and furniture.
Wait, 760 dash machinery, equipment, and furniture.
Not in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
770.
That one is the count. It's the out, you need an N.
Okay. Let me read this. It's very short. Supplemental appropriation from General Fund 1,767.50 in the amount of 167,570 to Fire District Fund 211-760-740,000. Does that sound correct?
Let me double check something real quick.
Yeah, what I see here.
Resolution 14-2025.
Yes, sir.
Somebody's got to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Loman.
Yes.
Mr. Hyab.
Yes.
And Dennis made a second.
Very rough.
You want her to type it out and we sign a,
Be nice.
Okay.
Sign it now, though.
Anything else? Okay. Community Coordinator, Brenda?
Thank you. Let me turn this on. Hot dog. Okay, well, I've got a series of things to tell you about first, and then I'm going to tell you about some fun things that are kind of recapping. I'll just start with, we have a free night of coffee and music that will happen on Wednesday, June 18th for the community at 7 p.m. You can stop in for some great music at the Crosby Cafe featuring Ronnie Hollowell and his band. Everyone is welcome. Crosby seniors will be going out together for a fun evening on Thursday, June 19th, to the Hoosier Ice House in Lawrenceburg at 5 p.m. They're enjoying their dinner with friends. We do that once a month outing. On Wednesday, June 25th, the seniors are going to Bardstown, Kentucky to ride on the My Old Kentucky train for a lunch excursion. We had 30 reservations when I made this report last month in May. Well, we're now up to 44. And they will all be taking the 35-mile train trip, and then several of us, I think we're up to about 20 rooms now at the La Quinta Hotel. After a delicious, we're all spending the night that night. There's 20 rooms reserved. After a delicious breakfast, some of us will be sightseeing before returning back to Cincinnati. We are planning a 4th of July cookout for our July 1 senior meeting. We're looking forward to our presenter, Karen Wiggins. She's very interesting. She's going to bring her collection of all of the President's First Lady dolls and then talk about them and give you a little history lesson, a walk back in time. So I think that'll be fun. This year we're having 2 trips to Madison, Indiana to ride the Rock and Thunder Riverboat to Louisville, Kentucky for lunch at the Captain's Quarters Riverside Grill. One trip has filled up, and we're now taking reservations for the second one. Both excursions are in August and will include the opportunity to stay overnight at the Riverboat Inn and Suites, complete with rocking chairs on the front porch overlooking the mighty Ohio River and a swimming pool for late-night options. Just a quick note, the Crosby website has been updated to be congruent with our policies and procedure manual documents adopted on April 14th, 2025. I recently wrote a request to the American Legion Post 199 Charities for a donation to help fund our proposed community center concerts and gatherings. This award would not only be used to bring the different residential areas of Crosby Township together to foster unity, but also to begin planning something creatively special for America's 250th birthday during this coming next year. It's always been my hope and thought that it would be really great for the, rather than have kind of pockets of communities, if we could have things that we do and come together with and we can celebrate and kind of get to know our neighbors a little better. But at any rate, I go on to say, I just received word that the American Legion Post is awarding us $2,500 for this purpose. I will be going to the Harrison Council meeting on Tuesday, June 17th to accept the donation to provide funds for the outdoor concerts. The 110th consecutive Memorial Day Parade and Service in Crosby Township took place on Sunday, May 25 at 2 p.m. The parade was awesome, with 24 units comprised of multiple vehicles, floats, organizations, and 245 people who either participated and or were attending the service in the New Haven Cemetery. So it was really special, I think, because a lot of the people who were observers became participants because it was just cool and fun to be a part of something as a community. I'm going to jump back. I skipped over. I wanted to tell you, give you an update of the Crosby Day at Strickers Grove that was held on Sunday, May 18th. We are positive there were 1,500 people, and it was estimated that the number's likely nearer to 2,000. The weather was great, and the people were happy. We had 52 door prizes that totaled $3,600 that we gave away. And I want to tell you, our guest speaker this year was a U.S. Marine Corps Vietnam veteran, Staff Sergeant Fred Hellman. Fred ended his military obligation accumulating 8 medals, those being the U.S. National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnamese Service Medal, the Vietnamese Campaign Medal, the Presidential Unit Citation Medal, the Purple Heart Medal, the Good Combat Medal, and the Navy Meritorious Unit Commendation Medal, and the Sharpshooter Badge. Fred delivered a heartfelt message for all of us to remember and never forget the sacrifices that are made by those who aren't with us today. And Fred, you're very lucky and happy as the people out in the audience and the people who are on TV. We have Fred here today, and I'm going to take this mic out. Fred, if you come up for a second, we're going to thank you. Okay. So, Fred, I'm going to have good old President Lohman, who actually has something special to read to you. But we seriously, we were very, very pleased, grateful, and thrilled that you were able to be with us and to handle that.
Well, it was indeed a great, great honor. I mean, it really was, to be able to talk to everybody. But as you know, because there's so much to be said, that's why I wrote that book. And now I finally got it published through Cincinnati, a book publishing company. It's sitting right on her desk right there. It's a 515-page book. But this is the point I want to make. I'm not going to say it anymore right now. Everything I need to be said or needs to be said is in that book. And I would encourage you, maybe you may not be interested in it, but maybe your children or maybe you may know a veteran that it might help for them to read. Or better yet, a spouse who had lost a husband or a wife that was killed in action. So enough said.
You know what? Before you read that, since you talked about the book, I'm just going to hold it up because this is kind of fun and amazing. Because you see, this big book right here, it was just published just prior to him coming into my office, and he said, "This is my story." And he said, but I don't know what I'm going to say or what to say at the cemetery. And I said, no, I think your bigger problem is going to be how are you going to fit this into 15 minutes? This is quite a memoir. So just tell me real quickly, how can they buy this? Do you have this for sale? How can they get it?
Yes, actually, I've got business cards with the Cincinnati Book Publishing email address where you can order it. You can also order it on Amazon. And all you got to do is, and by the way, if everybody has a cell phone here, and if you have that little icon or Safari, all you got to do is type in my name, Fred Hellman. And when you type that in on your phone, you will see this cover of this book, and then it'll also give you a little summary of what the book's all about. So.
Thank you, Fred. That's awesome. I'm going to hand this over here so you can receive that.
So, Crosby Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, certificate of appreciation presented to Staff Sergeant Fred Hellman, United States Marine Corps, decorated Vietnam War veteran, at our 110th consecutive Memorial Day service as a speaker on May 25th, 2025.
Let's give him a hand.
Thanks for coming. Put those in your yard.
Yeah, I'll put them on, see if I can.
Same for your grandkids.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Do you have anything else, Brenda? No. Okay. All right, fiscal, Jamie.
Okay, just to touch on a few items from the last meeting. I mentioned that I would get packets from Sedgwick regarding any type of, we have an injured worker. So you all have a sample of it so you can see what I gave. Each department head did receive this. So in case we have any injuries or whatever, it helps us navigate getting them their coverage and getting them taken care of, okay? The OTARMA policy has to renew soon, and you guys have a copy of the quote. I put it in your paperwork. Unfortunately, there's a really tight deadline on it, but they've given us like a grace period because it was OTARMA's fault that it didn't come in on time. We're supposed to have 30 days to be able to respond, and they're wanting a response by the 24th of this month. So what they are asking for is, I think on the top of your guys' packet, I have a letter that just basically says, yeah, we're planning on going with you, but we want time to kind of peruse the packet itself. At least that's what they're telling me. So any concerns or questions, because it's 27 pages. So I'm not expecting you guys to read that. Now, what I have done is there are two back sections, and I gave one to Jim and I gave one to Jason. Because it's asking specific, like, what trucks do you have? What equipment do you have? And only they can update that. So we need to do some updates. The personnel that's listed, they still have Brian, they still have Matt. So there's some things that they know needs to be addressed. So what they are requesting is if we're willing to, or someone is willing to sign the little brief letter that says, hey, we do plan on going with you guys, but we absolutely need to do some changes and updates too. That is what Bob, I'm sorry, I don't remember what his last name is. Okay. What he said that, you know,
Yeah.
it was his intention, and he apologized for the delay because I didn't get that until actually Friday of last week, this quote. So
I have a copy. Is it in my box?
It was in your mailbox.
it was in your
Oh, okay.
mailbox. Okay. And I'm sorry, I can give you this one right here to look at.
I get it.
So, I really don't know much, but I can try and
Well,
assist
since,
you all.
You know, I was thinking after looking at it that if the Board of Trustees would make a motion to have Doug Lohman get with our supervisor heads over there and go through everything
Okay,
and then sign off on it when he gets all the right information, I'd be,
I mean, if you can get it done before the 24th, I would say that's
I would
probably fine. And I'm
think so.
sorry.
The only other thing that we would have to put in here is the addition of the firehouse.
Right.
So we'd have to up that coverage, but, you know, if Doug has the authority to sign it and,
For the deadline.
Okay, hang on just a second, because Jim, yeah, Jim.
Jason and I we went over it while we were sitting here.
Okay.
yeah,
Everything on here's here.
Okay,
The newer equipment, most of it's on there.
Yeah.
good.
So
That's great.
all right,
So the only change would be to
personnel.
personnel and then also any additional coverage for the building, correct?
And
So I
then
guess,
they're asking us if we wanted to increase our liability. I don't think so. Right now, it's at 3 million. And I think I'd be comfortable with that for right now.
okay, so
But
it's,
what do you think, Chuck?
Normally, in the past, I go back 1 year and kind of go through month by month, see what we bought, and if anything needed to be added. The big thing, little thing, I think you got lump sum, 250,000 or something. I'm not sure what that figure is. So they're looking for the large stuff,
Large,
not the
yeah.
little stuff.
yeah,
So you go through it month by month and see if you bought anything, I guess, in the last 12 months. I know I can't think of anything myself, so
yeah,
But I mean,
big thing.
be
I-
okay if we make Doug,
Yeah,
give him the authority to contact everybody and go through it, and that way we're,
yeah, it sounds like
On
you're
time.
already got a good start. I mean,
Yeah.
you just need a,
so I move that we allow Doug Lohman to fill out the OTA RMA insurance and delegate him to sign on behalf of the township.
I second it. But likewise, like I said, I think you should go back and make sure we got missed anything.
okay,
Memorize, the department head should remember it, but
mm-hmm,
you might, I can't remember any big stuff in the last 12 months. So
okay. All right, noted,
it could be safe.
noted, all right. Do you want to do a roll call?
Did you second it?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Lohman,
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt.
Yes.
Okay, and touching on the massive quantities of items that are in my office, I have been adhering, of course, to the retention policy. So there have been some things that have been dispatched to garbage, but a great portion have been, I'm slowly but surely getting them boxed and binned up, and maintenance has been helping me. They took a really heavy box out today. I don't know why I had stuff in my office from 1970 or 69. I'm thinking that could probably go into the retention area. So, slowly but surely cleaning up that office and making it usable and having some room to get all the boxes that are laying on the floor into their own home. So,
Okay. And then while we're in the fiscal office, you want to introduce our new?
yeah, I was good. Yeah, and before when you're done, I don't know. Are we going to talk about the budget meeting,
Okay,
setting
yeah,
the
that's
date?
another thing.
Okay, so just whenever. Okay, do what you want to do.
Since you brought the budget meeting up,
Well, crud.
And
have
that's,
to advertise that meeting too, I would assume?
Yeah.
We need 10 days?
reasonable notice.
Do you still have to put that in the paper?
No.
It can be on the internet. And
Is it,
Post it on the door.
was it 24 hours, or is it,
Pardon me?
is it a 24-hour notice, or is it?
oh, you give 'em-
Everything is reasonable notice, so what's reasonable?
what day can everybody get together? That's first. I mean,
Next
Wait,
month?
Matt's got a input here.
I don't have my phone.
In past experience, this one's a little different than the normal special meeting because it's related to the budget planning and it's tracked by the auditor. There was the email from a month or two ago that had the attachments that came from the county auditor's office. In the past, they've required when we turn things back into them, because we have to turn the proposed preliminary budget for next year back into them. Along with that, they've required in the past a copy of the proof of publication of the out of the newspaper.
Notice.
And then there's basically like a form that has the text of what the notice is supposed to say. I assume it hasn't changed because they typically will use things that look archaic and they just keep sending the same thing every year.
Can we use the same kind of notice that was used last year?
Yes,
Yes.
but I'm just saying that in the past, they've required the
Okay.
proof of publication.
Yeah.
What do they call it? They call it
In fact, the
image.
newspaper will send us something saying, here's your
Yeah.
proof of whatever they call it. So, yes. So you just need to give me a date and I will get it moving. But obviously, to get it in the paper, I'm gonna need more than 24 hours notice, so.
So, either we get, either the 23rd or the 30th, those are both Monday evenings, like at 7 o'clock.
I can tell you my hard date for having this stuff to the Hamilton County has to be, I think it's July the 18th. So,
So we
Yeah.
keep it in this month.
yeah, has,
Either the 23rd or the 30th? Are you
30th
both
works.
available?
30th works better for me.
the 30th works better for you? I was just thinking the 23rd worked better for me, but I don't care. If the 30th works good, what about everybody else?
What about it?
Huh? 30th? Okay.
It don't make any difference.
Don't make any difference? All right, let's go with the 30th. I'm good. 7 o'clock here.
okay,
You say 7?
7 PM.
7.
Yeah.
That gave you 3 weeks.
Okay. And I'm finished, yes,
right.
other than what you want to take care of.
So Charlie, we're going to introduce our new Deputy Fiscal Officer, Charlie Slavin. Did you want to say something?
All right. Well, good evening. And I see some neighbors and friends in the audience here. But thank Mr. Heiss, Mr. Lohman, Mr. Hyab for their time and attention to this consideration. I actually got recruited by Brenda at the get-together at Stricker's. And even though I've lived in Crosby Township for 41 years, I've traveled from this place for a very long time. We're dedicated to this community, but I've had my professional career that was in a number of international companies and based out of downtown, so some brands like GE and Kroger and Great American and NKU and a few places like that. But I started my career as a CPA, and I was with Ernst & Young. I was with KPMG, and 7 years in that, and I've taught accounting and quantitative methods for Ohio University, NKU, and University of Phoenix. And now I've got my own company. I just retired from a manufacturing job. I was the vice president of strategic projects for a $50 million manufacturer up in Hamilton. And before that, I was down at NKU full-time, and I was also with Christ Hospital as their lean director for a number of years. So I'm excited about this opportunity. Sounds like I may have my hands full here, but we'll see exactly how this all works out. I don't travel as much as I used to. I was just mentioning to Jamie and Doug at the beginning of this, there was a time when I traveled airfare 150,000 miles with Delta for at least 6 years straight. So I was all over the globe. And in that time, I was with a software company. And then I also traveled around the states for GE in technology. So I was the technology liaison to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and NavAir out of Crystal City. And Fred, I have to go back, you and I go back a ways. That's right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Swimming Racket Club down on Campbell Road. And actually, Linda and I went to high school together. Yeah, we graduated in 1968. But one of my jobs along the way at Miami University, I was one of the directors of financial aid, and I was the liaison to all the vets. So I was an honorary member of the Vets Club because I could not get into the military because in the fall of '67, when I was playing football for Corrine High School, I got clipped. And my entire left knee was gone. I had 5 surgeries before I ended up getting the joint replaced. But I embraced the veterans on campus and helped them through all kinds of challenges and helped them get money and provide support to their families and themselves at Miami. That goes back a long ways when I was a graduate assistant, and then I was full-time at Miami. But then I got recruited out into public accounting because they asked me and said, don't you really want to stay? We'll make sure you get your PhD and all that. And I said, no, I just got to go out and try these new wings in accounting because I was an undergraduate in finance and a graduate degree in accountancy. So that's my history, and my wife has been here raising the family and keeping everything going for all these years. She taught at Harrison full-time for 4 years and then 12 years for part-time while the kids were in all their schools here and while I traveled around. And then she recently just retired from Franklin County, 24 years out there teaching, guess what, business at Franklin County. And she's retired, and so now we've got 8 grandchildren and got their families. In fact, this week we're going down to our place in Myrtle Beach for a week. And it's hard to get everybody's schedules, so 8 schedules because they're all athletes and academics. But I'm glad to be here to be able to provide support to my community that I've had residency, but a distance residency for much of my career, unfortunately. But I'm excited to contribute. And I thank Mr. Heiss, Mr. Lohman, Mr. Hyab for their time and consideration in this appointment, and I'll do my best for this community. Thank you.
Do my motion, formally appoint Mr. Slavin as Deputy Fiscal Officer.
You want to do it?
Special meeting. We're gonna do the special meeting minutes, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, they did it at the first.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's okay.
Excuse me. The other thing is the bond. You'll have to sign the bond as fiscal officer, or deputy fiscal officer.
Yeah.
That has to be taken care of.
All right.
And just a reminder, the township needs to hold an election in November for the election of a fiscal officer to serve the remainder of the term that Matt would have served. So that's coming up as well.
Oh, the question, when, if that person get elected, when do you take office?
I'm sorry?
When do they take office?
When would they
if they
take
get
office?
elected?
There was that question came up the other night.
The person, like who runs this fall, when do they take office?
I would assume, now I can ask the Board of Elections again, but I'm assuming it would be the normal start. that-
April 1st.
April 1st, but I'll double check.
That came up the other night, when they start.
Yeah.
So,
It may not be, because that's just the I'll go with the thing, I can weigh in on that. It may not be just because April 1st, all that represents is the starting and the ending of the whole term, of the whole 4-year term. Since you're talking about an unexpired term, I'm not exactly sure, but they may have a rule at the Board of Elections about it. It might even be 2 weeks after the election, or maybe it might be as soon as the election is formally certified. It's something to that effect.
I'll double check with the Board of Elections.
So, zoning rec,
Last month, we had 7 zoning permits, 2 driveways, 2 decks, 2 signs, commercial signs, and 1 accessory building. The zoning commission is going to meet tomorrow night, Tuesday, June 10th, at 6:30 PM for comments on the storage units at the Fort Scott development. And that's all I have.
Did you hear back from Great Parks about their sign application?
Great Parks, yeah, they're pretty much said if, they can do whatever they want. I got an email from them saying that they're not going to follow through with the meetings. That their attorney said that they don't need to. And that's pretty much what it is.
That's after I told the attorney, who she wrote to me, and I said they had paid the application fee, didn't they?
No,
Or you were waiting to hear from them to set up a meeting?
yes, I've had, in fact, I just went over their, they submitted all their applications,
Okay.
okay? But I never received any money from that. I was waiting for that so we could set up a meeting.
That's what I said to her. And I said, I think they should at least, have the courtesy to contact you to set up the meeting. And I understood she was gonna have them do that. So,
Well, the email that I have more or less said that it wasn't necessary to have a meeting.
how recent was that email?
2 to 3 weeks, right after I talked to you, I think.
All right, I'll contact
I'll have
their
to,
attorney.
I can go back over my emails to double
Okay.
check, but I'm trying to remember
Well,
this because I was.
I'll contact the attorney and
Okay.
ask her again.
Because I've got all their applications, all the paperwork that they needed still on
Right.
my desk.
Right. And I told her you were waiting to hear from them to set up the meeting.
Right, and I couldn't set up the meeting until I got a check, and I consolidated all the signs into one meeting so it wouldn't cost them
Yeah.
more money.
I thought they were going to follow through with you, so I'll check with her.
All right.
Chief Davis, do you have to do inspections on that as they're building it or anything?
Our inspections, yes, they have been down there a couple times.
So do they call you to inspect it, or is there like certain points that you have to like approve, or?
Lieutenant Keller works with the county, on permits and inspections. So when county goes, we go.
Well, you're gonna have to check with the building department at the county because they were butting heads with the Park District also about not having to have a permit.
It's been a struggle with the parks.
So you're the only fire that would inspect it? Like they're not bringing somebody else in or anything?
Yeah, it's been a struggle.
Anything else for rec? Nope. Did you have something else?
No, I don't have anything
Okay.
else. I didn't know if you want to give anybody an explanation as to what's going on with the Park District.
I don't think so.
Well, I'll just leave it at that. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be back in my office. There's a kind of a story behind the whole deal.
And you know when that gas station's supposed to open?
They're getting close, but I don't have an answer for that yet.
Have we thought about any more about getting gas cards for the township vehicles, for that shell when they do open up? Instead of going to Harrison, coming down here to 128 in New Haven? They offer diesel and gas.
Price talks.
Yeah.
Where do you have it now?
Premier.
Premier.
Yeah, Premier.
How are they priced compared to other?
I mean, we did have Shell years ago and left Shell for Premier. So I don't know. It's been a while.
One reason we switched, we got everything comes from one place. We had 3 different fuel companies at one time here. We had Gosman, was 5 at the time, and Murphy. So we went with one company. It was easier to keep everything straight. With Premier has everything, you know, diesel fuel, on-road, off-road, propane, and gas. That's and they got hydraulic fluid and oil and whatnot, you know, so we kind of just made it easier
To track everything.
The payment, we got one bill instead of had 4 different bills coming in, and you get figuring out who got what. And that's why, one of the reasons we went there. And usually Premier's cheaper there than at the gas station.
Yeah, on my business, when I have diesel fuel, gas, they're always a little cheaper than the stations.
Are they?
Yeah. So,
Especially on diesel.
Is that what you use mostly, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, old business. The only thing I had was people that we've mentioned it periodically, dial 811 before you dig. And then the sheriff's contract.
that's what I got.
Okay, I'll let you do it then. That's all I had.
All right, everybody, trustees had a copy of the sheriff's contract when they gave us the revised version, which was basically the same numbers, just updated on some of the hourly wages and stuff, but it's pretty much the same breakdown as far as Crosby, Harrison, and Whitewater Township. And so this is a 3-year contract that we will be signing. And the prices for 2025 is $32,220.12. For 26 is $33,992.23, and for 2027, $71,723.57. So it's a graduated pay, and then as we go through, we'll see how it works on our budget, and then when we get to the next contract, we'll have a better idea of how all this is affecting us and what their new breakdown of numbers are. So we've all had this for a while, and so I would, we have a resolution, which is, what's the number on this one?
That's gonna be 15.
15. Now I'll read the resolution. Resolution number 15-2025, resolution to enter into contract for police protection services. Preamble. Whereas the Crosby Township Board of Trustees, the board has negotiated a contract with the Sheriff of Hamilton County, Ohio, known as the Sheriff, the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County, Ohio, known as the Commissioners, and the Board of Township Trustees of Harrison Township and Whitewater Township for the purpose of providing police protection services for the benefit of the township. And whereas the board has determined that it is in the best interest of township to enter into the contract for police protection services with the sheriff, the commissioners, and the board of Township Trustees of Harrison Township and Whitewater Township. Resolution, now therefore be it resolved by the board that the following resolution be and it hereby is adopted. Section 1, the board hereby agrees to enter into the contract for police protection services with the sheriff, commissioners, and the Board of Township Trustees of Harrison Township and Whitewater Township, a copy of which is attached hereto as Exhibit A. Section 2, Doug Lohman, President of the Board, is hereby authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the resolution. It is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of the board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of the board, and that all deliberations of the board that resulted in this formal action were in a meeting open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including revised code section 121.22. Agreed this, it would be the 9th day of June 2025. And the contract is here. It'll be, as it says, Exhibit A. And
Unsigned copy should be attached to the resolution, and the original Doug and I have to sign.
Correct.
okay.
So is there a second?
So I move that we adopt resolution number 15-2025.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Lumen,
Yes.
Mr. Hyab.
Yes.
I'd like to, this afternoon, I talked with Tom Loosekamp in Harrison Township, and they already signed the agreement. And likewise, the sheriff's department gonna have a substation out there, and I talked to Tom about that. And they're gonna have 2 officers. Right now, Harrison Township running out 'cause 75 people. They're gonna run out 'cause 60 people, and then 2 officers will be for the sheriff's department. So, and
They're actually, the sheriff's office is going to have an office in the
New
Harrison.
Haven Road.
You already said
And
that.
the
Okay.
Harrison
Yeah.
Community Center. And yeah, I asked if they're still gonna run it out, and they said yes, but they're gonna reduce the amount from 75 to 60
I
people.
know they're redoing the back of the building and stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna add more parking in the back and I guess in the side, and so they're gonna be real close. Instead of coming from Hamilton Avenue, we'll be coming New Haven Road. So I guess they're all excited about that. Hopefully we are. I don't know. Be closer. So
Where's the resolution?
Yeah.
Where's the resolution?
Give that.
but Tom said he don't know what Whitewater Township is up to. Cause you guys hear anything about Whitewater Township? Nothing. Okay.
You'll know last. You'll know last.
So
Do you have anything else, Dennis?
Yeah, you have to sign the resolution.
That's the original, that goes back to, what, does that go back to the sheriff's office? I need to see the original signature, it has to be signed by everybody.
Right, it's gotta be signed by everybody.
Yeah. Make sure that gets where it's supposed to go.
Yes. And I need to be, for sure, a signature, a sign, I need that, a copy of that.
You're getting it right now.
All right.
It says right here where to mail it.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Did you have anything else?
No, that's all everything on my checklist is checked.
Chuck, old business?
I got none. We covered the sheriff department. So.
And new business, I have none. Dennis?
I guess the only business I have is since we have a change order for the firehouse, we need to move more money into the building fund. So right now, $100,000 would more than enough cover everything that I'm looking at, that's looking at before me. So I guess we need another supplemental appropriation.
Alan's gonna be getting his workout tonight.
This is number what?
Oh,
16?
16.
1-6, right?
Mm-hmm. How much did you say, 100?
This is supplemental appropriation?
Yeah,
This is from the general fund?
mm-hmm.
And where in the general fund? Refer to an account?
There's an account code that's in the 760s, 1,760 something that should be specifically for buildings.
Well, I got that.
Or capital outlay.
What's the number? Give me the number.
It's right there,
750, 720?
760, 720.
760, 720.
Well, that's where
where's
it's
it
going
Oh,
to.
it's going, okay. It's coming from the general fund to that fund.
You don't
Yeah.
have to transfer it if you don't want. You can just supplement the appropriation for that account code and then certify the funds and pay the expenditures out of that account code. It's general fund. You can use it for whatever the trustees
Right.
deem appropriate. You don't have to transfer it to fire first.
So you're just taking out, you're just taking
Well,
out,
this fund is in the general
Yeah,
fund.
I'm saying.
That,
All I'm saying is you don't have to move money. You just appropriate it
out of there.
out of that
No,
account
funds.
code.
okay.
You're not moving it into
So we
another
don't need a resolution?
No, you do need a resolution to supplement the appropriations. You just don't have to move it anywhere.
We don't have to move it anywhere.
Okay. Supplemental appropriations for general fund.
Account number,
760, 720, 000,
quadruple zero.
quadruple zero. For what?
Buildings.
June.
I move we accept resolution 16 to move $100,000, or to appropriate $100,000 into the building fund. 1,760,720,000.
I second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Loman,
Yes.
Mr. Hyab.
Yes. That's all the new business. I have no other new business.
100,000, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Chuck, do you have any new business?
No.
You have to sign that first,
Mhm.
probably.
There it is, all its glory.
So when we have the budget meeting, you guys could come close to what you think you're gonna be doing next year, plan ahead. And then it would be my opinion, and that's, we'll talk about it at the, budget meeting, that you guys probably ought to start keeping your own ledger so that you know, as you accumulate costs throughout the year, you can go back in your own ledger instead of relying on them, so you can project how much money you use for gas and diesel, mower parts and stuff like that. Because as you turn everything in to the fiscal office, then you don't have any, you can't remember how much stuff you went through. If you keep your own rough set of books, then you can go back and you know what's cooking
Know where you're
every
at.
year. So that would be, my opinion as to how to start, and then Brenda's the same way. I don't know how much paper you go through. I don't know if you remember how much paper you go through or ink or anything, but if you keep your own set of books on that, it's easier for you to figure out what's to do next time when we have a budget meeting.
Right. I would just say the only thing that would make that easier when I look at this spreadsheet, which I have just, that's kind of the first one I've ever received, like Jamie gave us, is that I wouldn't know exactly, and I might need a little schooling on, okay, I've got this bill, but I don't know which of these ones that you guys already think that should be up, appropriately about this one.
You
that
know,
one.
you don't
I would
really
have,
need-
if I have to follow the program, I'd have to have a little more, just know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't, there's so many accounts
I was
here.
saying, yeah, there's
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
how
accounts
they
and
break
numbers.
all
I'm like,
this down.
well, okay, I'm not sure where you guys have always put it and think that it's appropriate.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you keep a rough
Sure.
draft for yourself,
Yep, I
you
think
know
that's a
how
good
much
idea.
money you're gonna need for the following year, so.
Right, I agree. It
leave-
makes it
Leave the
easier.
budget office, break it down.
I like that she gave us that. Thank you.
Okay.
I think the best thing to do is take a half hour or whatever and talk to Jamie, and she can tell you exactly what go in this account, what go in this account. Because you're not going to use all these accounts. You want to maybe use 6 to 12 accounts. So it's not as bad as you probably think it is. So.
Well, I got everything written down, gas, fuel, Home Depot and all that, how much, date, and then I got a copy of every receipt too in my, over there. So, I can add it all up and tell you what I spent.
Well, then you would know, like, for what you need for the next year, if it's not enough or,
But I
or
don't
way
know,
too much.
like Brenda says, I don't know what.
Which account code is going to,
coming out.
right, right. We can have a conversation on that. I'll be
Sure.
more than glad to help you guys. And you guys can help me. Like, no, that's not where that should go.
Any other concerns?
Next meeting.
Our next regular business meeting will be July 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We're having a special meeting June 30th, our budget meeting at 7 p.m. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
Mr. Lohman,
Yes.
Mr. Hyab.
Yes.
9:18.
You know what that day is?